Well, would you look at that? 2025 has already come to an end, so it's that time again to list down my top 10 movies of 2025, of this year. So the movies this year were more or less just having that going to the movies to experience it moment. I mean, 2026 will most likely have that again because, we're getting a lot more than we already got this year. And despite the lack of uploads this year, I still managed to see a lot of movies I've seen this year, and now I have the chance to talk about them in this video. But before I get into it, I haven't seen every movie that came out this year. So these are the ones that I've seen this year that I either really liked, or the ones that I didn't expect to like as much, but ended up loving it over time. So before I get into my top 10s, here are some honorable mentions for the movies that I thought were enjoyable enough for me to put it on here. Alright, so the first one I have for my honorable mentions, and just to get this out of the way, and y'all are gonna make fun of me for it, but I have a Minecraft movie. I mean, it was an experience. A very questionable experience. Yeah, that's all I'll say. It was a stupid fun time, and that just makes me happy, I guess. So here are the other ones that I liked, but didn't make it to the list. So I got Wicked for Good, F1, Good Boy, Thunderbolts, The Bad Guys 2, Five Nights at Freddy's 2, the Hamilton re-release, and Sinners. So those were my honorable mentions, so don't take it personally that they didn't make it into the actual list, because the ones that I listed are the ones that I like a lot more. So here we go. On my number 10, I got Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Yeah, I know I'm a little late to get into this franchise, and I wish I should have seen these movies sooner. Well, I've only seen part 1, and that's really about it, and I just started binge watching these movies recently. But for this movie, I'm surprised at how much this movie made a good first impression on me. This movie just has a flow of energy that kept me watching throughout its entirety. There's one sequence that still stuck with me even after watching it, and I just find it very immersive. Especially since I saw this in an IMAX screening, it just makes it more better. And if you've seen it, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. And also, I can't imagine how Tom Cruise does all of this stuff, even for like, however long he's been making these movies. On my number 9, I got the Fantastic Four: First Steps. I just find this to be a very fun entry in the MCU, especially in what it's gonna set up next. It just gets me very excited. All of the characters felt fresh and unique. Every scene that Galactus is in is just very cool, and it has actual depths which I can't really say for the other Fantastic Four movies. So yeah, I got nothing much more to say. I just really like this one a lot. On my number 8, I got 28 Years Later. Probably one of the best looking horror movies I've seen this year. Some of the shots in this movie look really nice. I'm just surprised at how good this movie was shot. Other than that, I think this movie is well directed, and the story has a purpose for this movie's existence. And there was a moment in this movie that I didn't expect to be wholesome, in a weird way. But yeah, this was a nice return to form for this series, and I'll also give this movie credit for giving us the best movie trailer I've seen for a horror movie. Seriously, go watch the trailer for this movie. It actually made me feel a bit uncomfortable when I watched it for the first time, but in a good way. And I'm actually kinda curious about this part 2 that they're gonna have next month. Jeez, they're releasing this second one quicker than I thought. I feel like no time has passed since the last one, like, wow. On my number 7, I got K-Pop Demon Hunters. Yeah, call it overrated and all of that, but I don't care. This movie was just a huge surprise for me when I watched it for the first time. As soon as that opening sequence began, I was immediately hooked into it. All of the characters are fun and likable, the songs are really good, the animation and action sequences are very cool, and despite its popularity, I find it to be a very fun and vibrant movie. And I honestly can't wait to see what more they're gonna add into this franchise, because it's inevitable that they're gonna do that. On my number 6, I got Weapons. Overall, this was one of the most fun horror movies I've experienced in a theater this year. I think the concept and lore was interesting enough, almost all of the characters are fun to watch, and I just find it to be one of the funniest movies I've seen this year. It is still a horror movie with jump scares and a lot of scary imagery, but I think it balanced those things out with a bit of humor, and that's honestly why I like it. Go watch it if you just want to have a fun horror movie watch. On my number 5, I got Zootopia 2. This sequel really expanded on the original. The addition to the world building was more interesting, the new and old characters are still fun to watch, Nick and Judy's dynamic was more compelling here, and I find the story to be just as intriguing as the first one. And a villain that actually works for once, and that made me happy. But overall, this is a very fun return to the series, and I honestly can't wait to see what more things that they're going to expand upon from here, because that's probably going to be a possibility now. On my number 4, I got James Gunn's Superman. This movie just brings a lot of joy to me. From the new actor actually portraying Superman in a more likable way, from the emotional beats and story are compelling to watch, the action bits are really well directed in my opinion, and they're very cool to look at, and it just brings a sense of hope and optimism in a way that I haven't felt in a long time for a superhero movie. Man, I can't wait to see what James Gunn does with this character next, and overall, I can't wait to see what he does for the rest of his DC universe. On my number 3, I got The Long Walk. Let me tell you that when I watched this for the first time, it just had me in utter disbelief. This is one of the most intense movies I've seen all year, from how brutal it was from what these characters go through in this movie, from the actual characters having the most compelling arcs, and there are moments in here that actually made me look away a few times. And just overall on how sad this movie can get. Like, it just makes you feel bad for these characters that you want them to pass this life-risking challenge. Just go watch this movie, I promise you, you will not regret it. So, I was having a hard time with my top 2 movies, because I kept going back and forth between which one I liked more, but I think I finally decided in which order I'm gonna place them on. So, on my number 2, I got One Battle After Another. You guys don't know how much I loved everything this movie offered. From the moment it started, it was hard for me to not look away. From every sequence is the most compelling thing ever, from Leonardo DiCaprio being the funniest character in this movie, to Sean Penn's character being one of my favorite performances throughout any movie of this year. Everything in this movie has just something to offer, from the comedy to how well the action ties into the story. I swear, if Sean Penn doesn't get nominated for Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars, I'm gonna have a word to the voters. But just go watch this one. If you're a Paul Thomas Anderson fan, even though this is his first movie I've seen from his filmography, but even if you're a fan or not, this one really made a first good impression on me, and I'm curious to see what other movies he's made in the past. Alright, we made it to my number 1 of the year, and this is a movie where after I've seen it for the first time, it made me feel good after watching that movie, and that was a very good sign to me that this was going to be on my number 1 this year. So, on my number 1, I got A24's Bring Her Back. From the same guys who did Talk to Me, they made a horror movie not only to make the audience feel discomfort, but also makes you feel bad for these characters, especially with the main antagonist. Like, it makes you feel bad when you understand why she did what she did. The characters in these movies are fun and compelling to watch as well, and the overall lore and story was something new that I haven't seen in a horror movie before, and I loved everything related to it. And that ending shot will be one of my favorite shots throughout any movie of this year. Yeah, it's disturbing, but once you know the context of it, it just makes you feel sad. At least that's how I felt with it. And this just proves to me that horror movies can actually have something that you can feel, instead of just a brainless jumpscare fest. And that's why it's my favorite of this year. So yeah, those were my top 10s of this year. Keep in mind that this is just my list, so don't take it personally. Let me know what were your favorite movies of this year. So with that, I hope you guys have a great Christmas this year, and have a happy New Year. Subscribe, and I'll see you all after the Stranger Things finale.